thoughts about personal finance, which came from many years of training, observation, and personal experience. Financial education is my ministry, it is my calling. My purpose is to bring financial awareness to people because I believe that everyone and every family deserves to have a better life. This financial wellness webinar or Pandeminar series, initiated by Bishop Pete and Kiro Campo for the BEA, is very commendable. It is very helpful, especially that personal finance is not even taught in our schools, unlike sex education or human sexuality, which is part of the school curriculum. So our children are growing up knowing more about sex than balancing their own checkbook or bank account. Do you agree? I,
Amen.
I came to
Yes, sir.
Seattle on December 3, 1983, as an unmarried adult child petitioned by military veteran father who was petitioned earlier by my second sister. Though though still jet lagged, I had to start working right away, sorting mail within 3 days upon arrival because even though the pay was minimum wage, which was $3.35, believe it or not, per hour back then, I had to pay back the money that I borrowed for my passport and US immigrant visa processing fees, airport fees, plane tickets. And I had to support my nephew going to college and my niece reviewing for the CPA board exams. Bishop Pitt knows her well. I did that job for about a year until I found work as a mailroom clerk at a bank where my salary went up to $4.50 per hour. You see, unless you're a nurse, a physical therapy, respiratory or occupational therapist, an engineer, or a CPA MBA, those of us who come to America usually have to start all over again, and usually from the bottom of the ladder. That's why, in order to make it here and to make it well, being humble, flexible, positive, grateful, being nice with people, tenacious, and having the ability to see the big picture and long term, and always striving to be better, which are qualities that we usually acquire and develop in the United Methodist Youth Fellowship, right, Bishop Pete? Especially if you serve as a leader, can really come very handy. Then I met my wife in 1984. She had been working as a caregiver for about 3 years, and at the same time, reviewing for her US medical board exams. She was the youngest among five children and the only one who went to college. They were also poor, and her father was a small farmer. Because she had become sick and tired at, of their situation, she regarded herself as the last opportunity to change her family's future. So, no matter what it took, she was committed to pursue medicine at MCU when her father was already in his 70s and to come to America right after passing her medical board exam. We got married in 1995 and then went to New York City because that was where she got accepted for her residency training in psychiatry. You see, if you are a foreign medical graduate, it's hard to get into hospital training here in the States. In our first 3 years together, we were so poor that on two occasions I had to walk about 10 miles to work or about 16 kilometers, because we did not have money for my bus fare. We also, for 2 years, did not even dare to do the drive-through window at McDonald's for fear that we did not have enough money and would only get embarrassed. I even had to sell my bicycle so we can pay the $300 rent and send money to the Philippines. It was living paycheck to paycheck, my friends. And oh, by the way, we almost did not even get married anymore after two marriage licenses had expired because we cannot even afford to pay the $65 that the judge required for her fee to marry us. So when we got married eventually, we only had my father and my wife's friend as guests and also as witnesses. My father also doubled as the photographer using his Polaroid camera. And then we went to a Chinese restaurant for a wedding celebration and we spent maybe around $35 and we went home with leftovers to go in to go boxes even after that. So my wedding was probably a record in terms of budget, right? Within $100 or about 5,000 pesos in December of 1985. Life was really hard because while we were still starting a new life together, we were also spending nieces and nephews to college back home. Those nieces and nephews, most of them are registered nurses, are now in the US and Canada with big houses and rental properties, by the way. And my mother and sisters failed to come to my wedding because they said that I was not yet ready and because our budget was limited and I did not want to borrow money from them. But I wanted to show them and to myself that I can be self reliant and can do it on my own. I was forced to grow up quickly, once again, like what I've done in my youth. Many years later, and through the years, my sisters and then my brother, who had now come to the States, had now become among my top advocates as I have already earned their trust. Even my mother, for many years before she passed, she had become a believer and my wife's number one advocate, especially when my wife had become one of the top doctors at the hospital where she worked. And especially after my real estate company then had grown from a small firm to a major one in Washington state with 175 associates in three office buildings that my wife and I also to my credibility as a real estate, financial, and retirement consultant, all in one. You see, it has been my calling to help people, beginning with my relatives and friends, change their life for the better. And for those who are depending on them for financial support, by showing them that they too can do it, by believing in themselves, that they must do it together with their loved ones, and that they must ask for God's help. When I sit down with them, either in person or virtually in these days, I listen to their needs, goals, and dreams, and then I help them come up with a written plan that is simple, specific, and has urgency. I also try to disturb their thinking and comfort zones and stretch their beliefs and imaginations so that they can think bigger and start believing again, like the way they did when they were younger. And hopefully, they will make the needed adjustments to make it happen. It is said that it's not how you start, but it's how you finish. It's not how you start, but it's how you finish. That's why it's okay to be born poor, but it's not okay to remain poor. It's okay to be born poor, but it's not okay to remain poor. Poor. You must get up, move, and do something to change your situation, right? You must get up, move, and do something to change your situation. Stop complaining, blaming others, depending on others for your life and future. Use your God given talents, skills, and potential in order to have a better life. Don't waste them, right? When I was growing up, the lack of money was always a problem at home, like in most homes. And so at one point, I made a decision and a declaration that when I grow up and have my own family, I will do what it takes to make sure that my children and grandchildren will not experience what I got through. And God has blessed me with a wife who is committed to do the same. And He has blessed us with two children, a daughter who is a medical doctor like her mother, and a son who's about to graduate with his PhD in industrial and organizational psychology on full scholarship. God is good all the time, right? Praise the Lord. So that's my short story, my friends. So now let's let me ask you this question. Why should we even talk about personal finance during a pandemic that is as bad as what we've got now, when many of our people are already suffering financially? Why should we even talk about personal finance during a pandemic that is as bad as what we've got now, when many of our people are already suffering financially? Would it matter? Would it even make a difference? Well, here's a follow up question. Had we had enough financial awareness and preparedness, like having an emergency fund and sufficient savings, when this pandemic hit us, do you think that we could have fared much better financially? Had we have enough financial awareness and preparedness, like having an emergency fund and sufficient savings, when this pandemic hit us, do you think that we could have fared much better financially? Yes and yes. Our topic today is, I think, very timely because one is a better time than this time to evaluate and make some needed adjustments so that we can make our life easier. So that when another emergency in the future comes, then we're better prepared. When is a better time than this time to evaluate and make some needed adjustments so that we can make our life easier and so that when another emergency comes in the future, then we're better prepared. Remember the parable of the 10 maidens in Matthew 25? The parable of the 10 maidens in Matthew 25. Five of them were smart and they prepared well for the future, if you remember, while the other five were foolish and they procrastinated. So they were not ready when Christ came. It is said that preparation prevents poor results and that spectacular preparation leads to spectacular results. Preparation prevents poor results and that spectacular preparation leads to spectacular results. And that's a huge lesson that we can learn from the parable of the 10 maidens, as my dear friend, Pastor Marciano Dries, taught me. When people are better with their finances, their odds are better in having a better life. You agree? When you're financially secure, you tend to be happier and healthier, and your relationships tend to be better. When you're financially secure, you can have more time for your family and to serve God. And yes, you can also help other people and more people too, right? Our topic today is also an excellent Christian stewardship subject because if our church leaders, including pastors and deaconesses, and our church members are good with their personal finances, then church giving, support for our church, funding our various ministries, maintaining our church buildings, and paying our connectional obligations like apportionments should not be a problem. Do you agree? Do you agree? I am based in Seattle, Washington since 1983, but even though I live here now, the financial principles that we're going to talk about today are universal and therefore can apply wherever you are and whatever generation you belong. You see, whether you are in America or in the Philippines or wherever you are, financial security can be achieved, but you have to desire it. You have to want it. That's first and foremost. You have to want it because the good things that we have in life are usually what we want and focus on and what we have worked so hard for. Pray because it's all up to God, yes, but we must also do our part as if it's all up to us, diba? So that you'll understand better where I'm coming from, I'm also going to share with you my thoughts about personal growth, which I believe is critically needed for financial wellness. As I've mentioned to Kier Ocampo, I'm a big fan of personal development because I believe that it determines our success in life, including our personal finances. It is my conviction that as we grow in faith, mindset, attitudes, and habits, we also grow in our financial well being. Commitment to lifelong learning is a huge thing for me because I believe that what we have in life are the accumulated results of what we have become and what we have done intentionally. What we have in life are the accumulated results of what we have become and what we have done intentionally. Our success, I think, be it in our marriage, in our relationships, in our professions, and even in our finances, did not come by hocus pocus, by luck or by default, but by the conscious efforts that we do repeated day in and day out. If you want to change what you have, and it's never too late, you must change what you are, and that's never too late also. Do you agree? If you do, it's okay to thumbs up, please. All right. So, what is financial security and can I have it? What is financial security and can I have it? That's the title of our conversation today. So, with your permission, I'd like us to pursue the answers by talking about personal growth first. And then let's talk about personal finance next. Is that okay? Thumbs up again. If yes, you guys are awesome. So today, I propose that we go over 5 success principles that I believe are critically important building blocks before we even talk about money. Building blocks before we even talk about money. Then, after that, let's go over 6 personal finance principles that I hope would lead to each one of you today to come up with a simple financial action plan or a to-do list for you and your family. Then we can have a Q&A at the end. It's up to you. I can stay as long as you need me. Would that work? Would that work for everybody? Yes? Great. You're all wonderful. So, ready? Here are the 5 success principles. Number 1, count your blessings. Count your blessings. Number 2, family first. Family first. Number 3, develop your sense of purpose. Develop your sense of purpose. Number 4, be open to change. Be open to change. And number 5, pursue excellence. Pursue excellence. These are foundational blocks before we can even talk about money. Okay? Count your blessings, number 1. Counting your blessings is, to me, the most powerful habit that can influence your life, your faith, your relationships, your work, your business, and yes, also your finances. When we count our blessings, it keeps us rooted in humility and gratefulness because we acknowledge that everything we have comes from God. As a result, kindness, giving, and helping become a way of life. Yes? If counting our blessings become a habit, it also keeps us to stay positive and focus on our purpose, especially when we're faced with challenges and struggles that get in the way, like those that we're going through now during this pandemic. By counting our blessings, we look at what's working and that's what working, diba? We turn on the volume on the positive and then mute the volume on the negativity. By counting our blessings, we tend to become more upbeat and more productive. By counting our blessings, we get closer to God, to ourselves, to our loved ones, and to others. Yes? So, my friends, are you counting your blessings as a habit, whether it's good times or bad times? Are you counting your blessings as a habit, whether it's good times or bad times? Family first, number 2, family first. Besides real estate, I also do financial services, and the financial company that I'm affiliated with has a mission that focuses on the 5 F's: faith, family, finances, fitness, and fun. Faith, family, fitness, finances, fitness, and fun. So, in addition to the financial services that I provide, I also do financial advisory. I used to as well, but I don't have those anymore. Okay. I had to surrender them so that I can concentrate on other things that I like to do. Okay. For me, my family always comes first. If family comes first in all your decisions, you cannot go wrong. If you try to put your family after your work, business, or friends, like what I had done in the past, and that was a big mistake, usually that doesn't end well, right? For me, happy wife is happy life. You heard that before? Happy wife is happy life. I can be more productive at work when my wife and children are happy because then there's less stress and less worry. And as a result, I can focus more on my goals and can become more productive. Charity begins at home, we say. And so does honesty, being nice and caring, and being good with responsibility. Yes? My friends, do you always put your family first in your priorities? Do you always put your family first in your priorities? Develop your sense of purpose. Number three, our sense of purpose gives us reason to fight for life and to do well in life for ourselves, for our loved ones, for our friends, for our church community and country, right? Without a sense of purpose, life can be meaningless and boring, as you know. With a sense of purpose, life can be exhilarating and fulfilling. Studies show that having a sense of purpose helps with building our immunity, longevity, and even reduces one's risk of Alzheimer's disease. You heard that before? Having a sense of purpose is critically important for our financial well-being because our sense of purpose gives us the why, WHY, or the reason to strive to get better, to work harder, to make sacrifices, to persevere, diba? How's your sense of purpose, my friends? How's your sense of purpose? Be open to change. Number four, be open to change. Can we em- can we make embracing change a constant in our lives? Can we make embracing change a constant in our lives? Why? Because the way we embrace change defines our future and it even affects our situation right now. I've been observing people through the years, including my clients, friends, and even my own relatives. And I've noticed that those who are open minded and flexible have done way much better than those who are close minded and rigid, who usually tends to be passionate and also have an attitude. I mean, pessimistic. They tend to be pessimistic and they have an attitude. As we step out of our comfort zone, including discarding our limiting beliefs and negative attitudes about money, such as money is evil or having more money is being materialistic, and discarding our poor financial habits acquired at an early age, such as spending money before we earn it, spending more than what we earn, or not saving at all, you'll notice that gradually and steadily, imp- gradually, you'll see the gradual and steady improvement in your financial habits. And as we stretch our thinking and possibilities, and as we intensify our intentions and actions, you'll see that more and more blessings and results, including better finances and better life for you and your family, are coming your way. Do you agree? My friends, do you resist change or do you embrace change? Do you resist change or do you embrace change? Pursue excellence. Number five, pursue excellence. Are you happy with where you are in life, with what you have become, in what with what you have? Are you happy where you are in life, with what you have become, and with what you have? Honestly, are you satisfied being good enough, or would you rather want to do much better? Are you satisfied being good enough, or would you rather want to do much better? Well, if you're not happy and not satisfied like me, and if you're competitive like me, let's stop being average and start becoming the best we can be, right? Because we deserve that as a child of God who created us in his own image and who has offered us to live in abundance. Amen. Have you heard of that one definition of insanity that says Doing things over and over again and expecting a different result? Doing things over and over again and expecting a different result? Mga kapatid, the biggest obstacle to our progress is usually in our head, the way we think. We really need to work on our thinking, words, and self talk, and then on our attitudes and habits. If we want to change our lives for the better, we must first change our mindset. We must always watch what we say to ourselves and to others, and we must be intentional in what we do. Amen. If we want to have something or achieve something, we must be able to see it first in our mind before it appears on our hands. We must be able to see it first on our mind before it appears on our hand or in our bank account for that matter. Yes? Someone had said that life is too short not to be happy and too long not to do well. Life is too short not to be happy and too long not to do well. Mga kapatid, are you satisfied being good enough or would you rather want to do much better? Are you satisfied being good enough or would you rather want to do much better? Are you happy with your chronic lack of money or would you rather want to improve your situation? Are you happy with your chronic lack of money or would you rather want to improve your situation? Of course, there are other personal growth principles, but to me, these are the most important ones. So to review, number one, count your blessings. Number two, family first. Number three, develop your sense of purpose. Number four, be open to change. And number five, pursue excellence. Okay, six personal finance principles. Now that we're done with the with foundation, okay, personal growth. Now let's talk about money. Let's talk about financial security. So, what is financial security and can I have it? What is financial security and can I have it? May I ask you this question? Why do people get into financial problems? Why do people get into financial problems? Is it because is it because of the reasons that I mentioned before, like poor financial choices due to lack of knowledge, limiting beliefs about money, poor financial habits develop at an early age? Okay, let's keep moving. Um, okay, protect number one. Here, am I on number one? Protect your family. Follow me? Yes? Okay. Okay. If if something happens to you, I think we're done with that, right? Okay. If something happens to you when you become critically ill with a heart attack, stroke, cancer, or kidney failure, or when you suffer a long-term disability due to illness or accident, or when you die prematurely, what plan do you have in place to provide for your family? What plan do you have in place to provide for your family? What will replace your lost income, which is usually the biggest asset that your family depends on? Excellent questions, right? Because of the uncertainties of life, and life happens, as you know, life insurance, health insurance, disability, long term insurance provides financial security to you and your family. So, how much life insurance do you need? Okay, how much life insurance coverage do you need? A good rule of thumb is 30 times your annual income. A good rule of thumb is 30 times your annual income. So, let's say that you make 360,000 pesos a year or 30,000 pesos a month. Your death benefits should be about 3.6 million pesos. That is, if you want sufficient coverage. Okay. If you're at least 50 years old now, maybe just get a 30-year term life insurance. If younger, a permanent life insurance with cash value is what I'm recommending. The younger and healthier the person is, the better. Why? Because the premiums are generally lower and that a bigger portion of the premium will go towards the cash value accumulation of the policy. Those of us in the US, life insurance policies nowadays have disability and long term care riders that are very affordable, and in some policies, there are even automatic free rider coverage. Just make sure, though, that you buy your insurance policy from insurance companies that are highly reputable and finally sound. In the Philippines, I know that Philon Life and Insular Life have been in business for a long time, and I believe that they're both good. I'm sure that there are others. I'm not aware of them now, but please be very careful. If you have property and casualty insurance for your car or motorcycle, and title insurance, fire and liability insurance for your house and other properties, do you have those? If these insurance plans are offered in the Philippines like they are in the US, and if they're appropriate for your situation, I highly recommend that you should consider them. Just make sure that your coverage is sufficient, but also make sure that you're not over insured, okay? Because we don't want you to waste your money. Mga kapatid, God forbid, but if something happens to you, what plan do you have in place to protect your family? And if your car or motorbike gets in an accident, or if your house or rental property burns down, what plan do you have in place to replace them or to protect your assets from any potential claims? Good questions, right? Number two, live within your means. Are you spending more than what you are earning? Are you spending more than what you are earning? Or have you already spent the money before earning it? Or have you already spent the money before earning it? If yes, then it means that you are borrowing or using your credit cards to make up for the shortage, right? If no, then congratulations to you because it means that you're able to control your spending and that's so wonderful. Okay? Mga kapatid, it's really not about how much money we make, but how we spend our money wisely. It's really not about how much money we make, but how we spend our money wisely. Do you agree? One efficient way to make sure you're living within your means is to adopt a weekly or monthly household budget and then stick it, stick to it no matter what. Adopt a weekly or monthly household budget and then stick to it no matter what. Number two, efficient way is to buy only what you need, not what you want. Buy only what you need, not what you want. A third efficient way is to wait 30 days before making a major purchase to thwart the desire for instant gratification. Wait 30 days. before making a major purchase to thwart the desire for instant gratification. A fourth efficient way is to get rid of unnecessary spending like vices or hobbies that we really cannot afford, right? Get rid of unnecessary spending like vices or hobbies that you cannot afford. A fifth efficient way is to stop trying. This is important. Stop trying to impress people who don't even care about you anyway. Stop trying to impress people who don't even care about you anyway. Correct? My brothers and sisters, are you living within your means? Or are you living a lifestyle that you cannot afford? Are you living within your means? Or are you living a lifestyle that you cannot afford? Build an emergency fund. Number three, build an emergency fund. What's your emergency fund? What's your emergency fund, mga kapatid? Your credit card, your relatives, your friends, your church, your employer, GSIS, or microfinancing? Emergency fund is your rainy day fund. Rainy day fund that we can immediately tap into in times of emergencies, such as when you lose your job or cannot go to work, like during this pandemic, when you need a new engine or transmission for your car or motorbike, or when a family member gets hospitalized or dies prematurely. How much is sufficient emergency fund? How much? As we have learned during this pandemic, a good rule of thumb is 10 times of your monthly income. 10 times of your monthly income. So let's say you're making 30,000 pesos a month. You need to have at least 300,000 pesos for your rainy day. It's a big amount, but you can start building it because it might take a while. Okay? 10 times. Without an emergency fund, and you and I know how life can be so difficult and so stressful when an emergency comes in, right? And we don't have the money. Get out of debt and stay out of debt. Number four. Get out of debt and stay out of debt. Number four. Are your debts controlling you, or would you rather want to control your debts? Are your debts controlling you, or would you rather want to control your debts? Do you know how we accumulate credit card and other consumer debts, including borrowing from family members and friends? Do you know how we accumulate debts, including borrowing from family and friends? Because of number one, number two, and number three. Because of number two and number three above. We don't live within our means, and we don't have an emergency fund. Do you agree? Another reason why we accumulate debt, I think, is that dependency on debt has become a way of life for many of us, which can lead to excessive borrowing. Debt is now often the first option considered when making a purchase, especially now that credit cards are very common in the Philippines, correct? Debt is borrowing from our tomorrows to pay for our todays. Debt is borrowing from our tomorrows to pay for our todays, correct? Carrying excessive debt is a heavy burden to carry. Why? Because one, excessive debt creates heavy stress, and that's not good to your health, right? Number two, excessive debt destroys reputations, partnerships, business opportunities, friendships, and even marriages. Do you know that in the US, financial stress in the household caused by excessive debt and frequent lack of money is often the cause of divorces? Number three, debt often limits our liberty to follow God's will. When we are burdened by debt, we are not we are not totally free to respond to God's leading. We can miss opportunities to serve God's purpose because of the distraction created by debt. You agree? Credit card and microfinancing interest rates are usually very expensive. That's number four. Do you know or have you heard the rule of 72? Rule of 72? Yes? Now, if you divide the constant number 72 by your credit card interest rate, say 12%, you'll get 6, which means that the amount you owe will double every 6 years. However, if they charge you 12%, 72 divided by 12, you'll get 6. So your debt will double every 6 years. But if they charge you 18%, 72 divided by 18, you'll get 4, which means that your debt will double every 4 years. You see, the higher the interest charge, the faster the amount you owe doubles. Okay? That's why it is far more economical to pay cash for a purchase. The rule of 72 is one of the rules of money. It's one of the rules of money. Always remember this rule of 72, okay? Because the rule of 72 can either make you or break you. The rule of 72 works against you if you borrow money, but it works for you if you save money and if you invest some of your money. Okay? Let me repeat that. The rule of 72 works for you if you save money and if you invest your money. So, if you have excessive debt, make a plan to get out of debt. Okay? At a minimum, take the following steps. Number one, learn to patiently and consistently save money. Learn to patiently and consistently save money. Number two, wait upon the Lord to provide instead of spending what you haven't earned yet. Wait upon the Lord to provide instead of spending what you haven't earned yet. Number three, pay cash for all purchases so as to avoid debt. Pay cash for all purchases to avoid future debt. Number four, pay off your smallest credit card debt or pay off the card with the highest rate. Pay off your smallest credit card debt or pay off the card with the highest interest rate. Number five, then after you have paid off the credit card or first debt, apply its payment towards the next smallest or the next one with the highest interest rate. After you have paid off the first credit card or first debt, apply its payment towards the next smallest or next one with the highest interest rate. Number six, after you have paid a credit card, destroy it immediately so as you cannot use it again. You like that? After you have paid a credit card, destroys it immediately so that you cannot use it again. Anyway, you already have your debit card or ATM card, right? And then move to paying off your remaining debts in exactly the same way. Pay off the smallest loan or the loan with the highest rate first, and then move on to the next one. Okay? So mga kapatid, do you want to reduce your anxiety and stress and to sleep better at night? Do you want to reduce your anxiety and stress and to sleep better at night? Yes? Then try this approach. Get out of debt and then stay out of debt. Get out of debt and then stay out of debt. As we enter our golden years, many of us, it's really good to start getting out of debt now and then to try out of debt for good. Okay? And by the way, if you're getting close to retirement, like me, you might need to really hurry up because you're running out of time. Amen? Increase your cash flow. Number five, increase your cash flow. Are you happy or satisfied with your current cash flow? Are you happy or satisfied with your current cash flow or income? Really? Does your current income allow you to meet your family's needs, to pay down your debts, or to build your emergency fund, retirement fund, and college fund for your children or grandchildren? Do your current income allow you to meet your family's needs, to pay down your debts, and to build your emergency fund, retirement fund, and college fund for your children or grandchildren? If your cash flow is not sufficient, then we must do something about it, right? This, of course, if we want to change our life for the better and to help more people. I'm a big fan of my dear friends, Bishop June and Claribel, when it comes to creating other sources of income. They are not only church leaders, but they are also entrepreneurs, as some of you may know, because their pig farm was challenged by swine flu and their coconut nursery was devastated by the last typhoon, and their school has been challenged by COVID 19, and their coconut produce is challenged by low prices. I've noticed that they have made the shift right away. And now their virgin coconut oil business, you heard of that? Virgin coconut oil business in partnership with local pastors and their families is booming. It is booming. Thank you, Lord. I really like that Bishop June is showing his pastors and deaconesses to pursue or create other sources of income besides their church salary, especially during this pandemic. To him, I was told, a pastor or deaconess who has no money for bus fare or to buy gas for their motorbike so they can do their ministry or to provide food for their family is not acceptable. It's not acceptable. They must do something instead of waiting. They must do something instead of waiting. Diba? Kaya idol ko si Bishop June. Idol ko siya. I'm also a big fan for my friends, good friends, Michael and Christy. Besides their income as engineers and scientists, Christy also has a booming business that makes malunggay capsules. And I'm one happy customer here. I'm also a big fan of another friend, Pastor Cesar and his wife Ning. In addition to their pension as a retired engineer, they also are into network marketing. And I really like their entrepreneurial mentality. My friends, Daisy, Daisylin, and Olive are multi-millionaires by saving well and by investing in real estate. And my dear compadre Junard has a booming trucking business, in addition to being a university professor. I have four other friends who, after saving well and building their retirement income streams, are now full time in the pastoral ministry. I know that there are others who also have a side business or other sources of income besides their salary, but we don't have the time to recognize all of them today. All my friends that I've mentioned, by the way, are based in the Philippines, and they also came from humble beginnings. So, no more excuses, mga kapatid. I believe in you. You have to believe in yourself again. Believe in yourself again because you can do it too. Because you can do it too. Amen? Mga kapatid, do you have a hobby or business, talents or skills that you can monetize? Are you open to starting a business on the side? Do you want to be in sales? Do you own an asset or a piece of real estate that you can turn into an income generating property? Do you have a backyard and it doesn't need to be big where you can raise organic chicken, vegetables, and fruit trees that you can sell? As you know, anything organic are in demand these days, right? Or do you need to get a second job or a part-time job? Okay, number 6, save, save, save. Do you know the difference between average savers, good savers, and great savers? Do you know the difference between the three? Average savers, good savers, and great savers? They said that average savers save at least 10% of their income. Good savers save at least 20%, and great savers save at least 30%. So let's say your monthly income is 30,000 pesos. If you're an average saver, you put away 3,000 of that. If you're a good saver, you put away 6,000. But if you're a great saver, like my friend Cora, who is a CPA and a banker, and who religiously saves at least 30% of her monthly income, you put away religiously every month at least 9,000 of your income. Sounds good? I really like Cora's financial freedom formula inspired by Warren Buffett. I believe the financial freedom formula goes like this: income minus savings equals expenses. Income minus savings equals expenses. And not income minus expenses equals savings. Okay? Whatever is left after savings, that's what you spend. Live within your means, correct? As you can see in Cora's financial formula, which I really like and have implemented myself, savings becomes mandatory and automatic, just like payroll taxes or sales taxes or VAT, value added tax. Whatever's left after your savings is put aside, that's what you spend for your expenses and not the other way around. Okay? After building your emergency fund and getting out of debt, start or continue building your retirement fund and begin investing to grow your money, sum up your savings, and make the rule of 72 work for you and not against you. Okay? As someone who is saving, someone who is investing. Make it work for you, the rule of 72. My friend Daisy, the same millionaire that I mentioned earlier, she's based in Solano, by the way, also shared with me some financial nuggets that she and her husband have implemented themselves. Number one, don't invest in get rich quick schemes. You've heard about those? Invest in real estate to create passive income for retirement. Build money machines for you and your children and grandchildren. These money machines, I like that. Money machines can supplement your Social Security or GSIS pension when you retire. You and I know that those pensions are not sufficient. Number three, spend only what is left after setting aside your savings, like Cora. Number four, if you cannot see the money, don't spend it. I like that. If you cannot see the money, don't spend it. Number five, pay an honest tithe, and the Lord will open the windows of heaven to you and your loved ones. So, my friends, are you an average saver, a good saver, or a great saver? Great saver, right? Sure kayo? Or none of the above? Well, that's not good. Not good at all, as you know. Okay. So, do you want to feel better and sleep better and look good, sound good, and walk with more confidence? If your answer is yes, then let's protect your family. Number one, live within your means. Number two, build an emergency fund. Number three, number four, get out of debt and stay out of debt. Number five, increase your cash flow. Number six, save, save, save. Now, we can never go wrong when we show our children and grandchildren, beginning at an early age, how to live these six financial principles. Let's show them by our good examples and not just tell them or merely teach them with our words, okay? Show them because what they see is usually what they get. As you move towards your next level of financial success, if you want me to, I would be happy to do follow-up conversations with you and other financial topics like building wealth through real estate, retirement, income planning, and more principles. Just let me know. I would love to do that. Okay? Mga kapatid, as I've said earlier, it is my firm conviction that as we grow in faith, mindset, attitudes, and habits, we also grow in our finances. Without personal growth, without personal growth, financial growth cannot happen, or it can be very difficult to achieve. Without personal growth, financial growth cannot happen, or it can be very difficult to achieve. Becoming financially secure is intentional and it doesn't happen by luck or default. It is not achieved by hocus pocus either, but it is achieved by an intense focus on your goals and dreams and on the necessary steps to make them happen. To become financially independent, we must discard our negative attitudes about money, such as money is evil and having more money is being materialistic, and we must eradicate our poor financial habits acquired at an early age, such as spending money before we earn it, spending more than what we earn, and not saving at all. We need to keep increasing our knowledge and skills about personal finance by talking to qualified people who have the training and more experiences and success, not those who are more broke than we are, right? And also by reading and viewing more personal finance topics on the internet instead of wasting your time on COVID-19 conspiracy theories or about the lives of other people who don't even know you or care about you. Diba? So, mga kapatid, let's move on to our financial plan or to-do list. It's going to be a simple one. Are you clear? Here's a question for you before we do that. Are you clear about what you want? Are you clear about what you want? Is financial security something that you even want for you and your family? Is financial security something that you even want for you and your family? If your answer is a resounding yes and yes, then let's put a financial action plan or a to do list in place to get what you want. Okay? Are you ready? So grab your notebook or a blank piece of paper and just copy what you see in these slides. And then in the middle of that page, draw a cross. Okay, kind of separate those four quadrants. Okay, take your time. Now, this financial plan of action or action plan or to do list, I highly recommend that you discuss it with your spouse or family. It's very important that you involve them for their input and support. Okay, this is not an individual effort, it's a group effort. Amen. So, are you ready? So, on the top left hand side, what are the top two or three action steps that you must start doing? I highly recommend using clear and simple sentences like, so you can start writing, like, start saving 20% of my monthly income. If that applies to you, then you can write that down. Start building my emergency fund. Start living within my means. Start adopting a household budget. Stop, start paying off my debts. Start building my retirement fund. Start talking to a reliable insurance agent to see if I qualify for life insurance, health insurance, disability insurance, long term care insurance. Start to get my finances in order. Start learning more about improving my finances. Start disposing my limiting beliefs about money or my poor financial habits. We already talked about those twice. Start talking to people who has the training and more success than me. Start a side business or other sources of income. Start counting my blessings as a habit all the time, whether there's a pandemic or not. Okay, I'll give you some time to complete that. Remember, 2 to 3 actions should be good. Don't write too many because then you're setting up yourself for failure, I think. So just 2 or 3, your top 3. And then after you have realized those, then move on to another 2 or 3. Okay, ready? Done? Then let's move on to stop doing. Stop doing. What are your top 2 or 3 that you must stop doing immediately? Just like the first category, use clear and simple sentences like, here you go. Stop borrowing money. Stop losing money. Okay, by the way, that's another rule of money. Stop losing money. Uh, I did not follow that. That's why my wife and I lost a lot of money. Okay, that came from Warren Buffett. He says, a rule of money, don't lose money. Rule number 2, rule number 1 is stop losing money. Don't lose money. Rule number 2, always remember rule number 1. That's what he says. Okay, stop getting into easy and get rich quick investment schemes. Stop driving my car or motorbike uninsured or underinsured. Stop trying to impress people who may not even care about me anyway. Stop denying that I'm broke. That's a good one. Stop denying that I'm broke. Stop talking to negative people. I like this too. Or those who are more broke than me. It's the same, okay? Stop talking to negative people. Stop wasting my time on social media, reading and listening to conspiracy theories and about the lives of other people. Stop my unnecessary spending like hobbies or vices that I cannot afford. Stop putting my family behind my work, business, or friends. Stop being average. Stop resisting change. Like that, stop resisting change. Stop complaining. Stop complaining. Stop blaming others. Stop blaming others. Stop depending on others for financial support. Stop depending on others for financial support. How about this one? Stop pretending that money is not that important. Stop pretending that money is not that important. Okay, so only your top two or three. So done. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Do do more. We're at the bottom now. Do more. What are your top two or three? Again, let's use short and clear sentences like save more money by increasing my monthly savings rate to 30 to 20% or 30%, pay off more debts, pay off more debts, save more for retirement, increase my life insurance, liability insurance, and long term care coverage, attend more financial seminars or webinars. The next one, attend the next one. Talk to more positive people or those who have similar financial goals. I like that. Talk to more positive people or those who have similar financial goals. Be more accountable for my actions. Be more mentally tough. Be more mentally tough. Be nicer to my spouse and kids. Be nicer to my spouse and kids. Be more grateful to God and other people. Be more grateful to God and other people. So, top two or three that you want to do more. And finally, you're done? Okay, let's move on to the last category. Do less. What are your top two or three? Again, use simple and clear sentences like borrow less, spend less, invest in less risky investments. About this, less shopping, which is one of the benefits of this pandemic. My friend Nancy likes that. Less shopping. About this, less eating out. Less eating out is my nephew's favorite. I have a nephew in Santiago City. They like to eat out. Less eating out, which is another benefit of the pandemic, right? How about this? Eat less. And that's good not only for your budget, but also for your health and looks. Right? If you eat less, you look much better. You lose weight. About this, weight weigh less for some reasons, same reasons about. About this, hold less parties. So you've got pretty good training during the pandemic on this. Hold less parties. Less parties, less expense equals more savings, right? About this, to be less negative, to be less negative, to be less rigid in my outlook, to be less rigid in my outlook. So write down your top two or three. Okay, what's your progress? All done, mga kapatid? All done? So you're all done. Congratulations. You're on your way to financial security. It's just a one page. It's something that you would like to make copies and put it one on your in front of your refrigerator, in front of your mirror in the bathroom, another one in the hallway, another one in your bedroom. Put it as maybe the cover of your phone so that you'll see it all the time. It will remind you. Okay. Now you have a to do list or a financial roadmap to discuss with your spouse and children. Talk to them first, get them involved so that it will be a group effort. Okay. Your to do list or financial roadmap, which I feel very strongly about, can change your life and your family for the better. It is the direction that you follow on your journey towards financial success. Amen. So, finally, what if your goals are not met? What if your goals are not met? Then we just need to set another goals. Remember that your journey towards financial security is a long one and it will require diligence and sacrifice, resilience and perseverance. Perseverance. Okay. The key is to stay positive and to keep moving forward. Okay. Financial success does not happen overnight, as you know, because financial success is usually the results of our hard work and intentional efforts repeated day in, day out. Remember that financial security is not a destination. Financial security is not a destination. It is a journey. It is a journey. Just like our spiritual life, which is an ongoing process towards perfection. Correct? It is an ongoing process towards perfection. It is said that if you really want success, you will do what it takes to make it happen. If you really want success, you will do what it takes to make it happen. If you don't if you don't want it that bad, you will come up with excuses why not. If you don't want it that bad, you will come up with excuses why not. Mga kapatid, as you know, money alone does not provide happiness and fulfillment. But remember that money can also provide us with options, including providing for our family, living the lifestyle that we want and deserve now and then later in our golden years, and helping our relatives, our church, our friends, and others who are counting on us for financial support, diba? With sufficient money, life can be less stressful and more enjoyable. We can have more time for ourselves, for our loved ones, for our friends, for church activities, and our community, right? My brothers and sisters, I want you to know that what I've been talking to you about are also things that I've been focused on myself. So let's wish each other well on our respective journey towards financial security, a better life, and a successful retirement. Okay? Thank you, Lord, for this opportunity. And the bishop